Here it is. It's the end of 2025, and we can't figure out why teachers are leaving the profession.
That teachers don't have control anymore. One of the big differences between a good teacher and a bad teacher is a good teacher has control of their classroom.
Understanding. I was ready to work long hours and not get paid for them. I was ready to put the little money I did make back into my classroom. I was ready to go.
The amount of work that teachers put in does not equal our take-home pay.
He intentionally stood right in front of me, and we were probably about 2 inches away from him rubbing his private parts in my face.
So there's a wave of teachers quitting their jobs. A lot of teachers are quitting their jobs because of one thing or the other. Most of them are complaining that the students are not teachable, they are not learning, disrespectful. There's so many reasons why teachers are quitting their job, which is really sad because we need teachers.
Here it is. It's the end of 2025, and we can't figure out why teachers are leaving the profession. I made a Facebook post and it said, respect the teachers, your child's teacher. That's it. I shared it. It was popping off pretty well. So I shared it to my local rants, raves, and reviews. This is the reason teachers are leaving. There are more comments on that post saying respect is earned. You got to give respect. Okay. The reason teachers are leaving the field is because of disrespectful parents like that, disrespectful children, and people that just don't understand how hard the job is. Okay. Oh, you knew that when you signed up. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I went into teaching because I loved kids. I didn't understand that 90% of my class would have behavior problems, bad behavior. And when I call home to mommy, she'd say, oh, little Johnny doesn't do that at home. No, I didn't know that's what I was getting into. So it's not just the pay. Of course, the pay is bad. We did know that. But the disrespect that teachers receive on the day-to-day basis is off the charts. That's why they're leaving. That's the news flash. I don't know why you can't understand that.
I'm a former teacher, and here's the real reason why teachers are quitting and or not mentally well. I'm sure you're thinking parents and admin, and some even say the kids. And those are all part of it. But that's not the root. This is the root. The root is that teachers don't have control anymore. One of the big differences between a good teacher and a bad teacher is a good teacher has control of their classroom. Bad teacher, it's crazy, chaos. A good teacher feels like they have control, feels like they have everything going on, feels like everything's going well. But because of the current dynamics, there's a lot of teachers out there, great teachers who have been doing it for years, who now since COVID has slowly had their control stripped away by admin not allowing them to have free reign in their classroom, and parents that are no longer supportive and in most cases are combative to anything that they want to do. So the way I view it is teachers are in a straitjacket. Like imagine a teacher in a classroom with a straitjacket on. And when you feel that constant lack of control, the stress is outrageous. So these great, amazing teachers who literally have their hands tied behind their back are realizing that I don't have that control anymore like I used to. So these teachers are stressed out of their mind. But then comes step one. The only way to mentally do well in those situations is to lower expectations and accept it is what it is. And for real life, this is amazing advice. Letting go of things you don't control. Just letting things be the way that they are. But in the teaching setting, that means that Johnny is not going to improve like the Johnnies of the past did. It means that you know that they're not going to get the education and are not getting the education that you know that they should be getting, because there's too many other deterrents and distractions and things like admin holding you back and parents that complain that it becomes impossible. So now what does that result? The teacher standing in the front of the class with the straitjacket on and just being like, okay, they're moving around. All right, I'm just going to do my best with Susie right here, right now, and the rest of, like, it is what it is. And then just doing that every single day.
As a teacher, I was ready. I was ready to be underpaid. I was ready to teach the kids based off a curriculum that was sold to my district. I was ready to meet those difficult kids with compassion and understanding. I was ready to work long hours and not get paid for them. I was ready to put the little money I did make back into my classroom. I was ready to go above and beyond to create a safe learning environment for all of my students. I was ready to collaborate with parents in order to make sure their child got everything they needed in order to be successful. I was ready to work with every resource specialist in my school to make sure every student of mine got what they needed. I was ready to learn on the fly and think on my feet, since most education programs don't adequately prepare you for the real teaching experience. I was ready to be exhausted at the end of every single day, since I chose a career that I had to pour all of my emotion and energy into. I was ready to use my body as a human shield in order to protect every single one of my students. I was not ready to be hit and to have things thrown at me when a child isn't getting what they want and have nothing done about it. I was not ready to have the environment I quite literally paid money for to be destroyed by a child not getting what they want and have nothing done about it. I was not ready to have to evacuate my classroom multiple times a week because one child was destroying the room and have nothing done about it. I was not ready to be a general education teacher and be given a class with multiple students who are identified with behavioral needs, have absolutely no resources, no aids, support, or anything of the kind. I was not ready to have to fly through the curriculum, even though that's not best practice, just because we need to fit all of the information in so they can do well on a state test. The same assessment, by the way, we tell them not to worry about, not to stress about, it's not a big deal, yet at the same time, often our excuse or reasoning behind learning something or learning something a certain way is so they can do well on the test. I was not ready to have students open up to me about things that I pray that no one ever has to experience in their whole life, let alone a child, and me not being able to do anything about it except to report it and hope someone else does their job and follows up on it. I was not ready to have one child terrorize their classmates to the point where their classmates didn't want to come to school and have nothing done about it. I was not ready for a parent to exhibit such unsafe behavior that I was not allowed to be in a meeting with them by myself, yet I still had to participate and communicate with that parent all year. I was not ready to ask for a specific student to be removed from my room to do their unsafe behavior to me and the rest of the class and be told that's not possible simply because they have nowhere else for them to go. I was not ready to know that the students who need resources would never get them due to the lack of resources within the school. And overall, I was not ready to give up a dream career that I worked so hard to get into just because of a failing system that shows no promise of getting better anytime soon.
There are so many teachers quitting right now in America, and I can guarantee you it's related to these three things: student behavior and how there are no consequences for horrible student behavior. Number two, no support from admin at all with the horrible behavior. And then number three, the amount of work that teachers put in does not equal our take-home pay. And I know what you're gonna say, but you get paid for summer and for your breaks. Honey, our salary is broken up into 12 months, but we only get paid for the time that we work. They just do teachers a favor and divide that by 12 so we get paid through the summer. But the amount of work that we do outside of the classroom, insane. Some of y'all wouldn't last a day in our shoes.
I cannot believe what the student did to me today at school. Disclaimer, he is not a student of mine. He is a student that was supposed to be in a class across the hall from me. This actually happened during passing period. I had just greeted my students at the door, and I was speaking to another student of mine about some missing assignments that she had. She was standing right next to me. Again, we were standing still at the door. The student was in the hallway, and I was standing right by my door. When I see another student pass by me right in front of me and he goes into my class, mind you, he is not a student of mine, so I immediately asked him to leave my class and to please go to his correct class. He knew exactly where he needed to be, and he made the choice to come into my classroom. As he is finally exiting, he decides to stop right in front of me where I'm standing at the door. And you guys already know I'm only 3 feet 3 inches tall. Now, these are students who are about to go into high school. This student is very, very tall, and he gave me no personal space. And what I mean by that was that he intentionally stood right in front of me, and we were probably about 2 inches away from him rubbing his private parts in my face. And he did this with a smirk on his face. So I know for a fact that he did it intentionally. This was no accident. He had plenty of space to walk on the side of the door, but instead he chose to stand right in front of me, look down on me, and almost rubbed his parts on me. I did not even put my hand in front of him or anything. I instead went back like this because I didn't want to be accused of me touching his parts. So instead I went like this. And the other student who was speaking to me actually told him, dude, that's gross, because she saw what happened. She was my witness. Anyways, I said a lot of things to him and I asked him to please step away from me and to not ever come back into my classroom. He, of course, denied it and went finally into his classroom. I immediately called the teacher that I knew had him, and I gathered the information to call home. And this is why I'm making the video. It is so important that parents do their part. I want to tell you as a teacher, I will never take time out of my day to call and lie about your child, ever. And you best believe most teachers will never do that. Okay, so if I'm taking the time out of my day to call you, it's because this actually happened. Luckily, the mom was very supportive and she immediately called him over to the phone to apologize to me. And he still had the nerve to deny it. He said he didn't do anything, he was nowhere near me, all these stories. Luckily, I had a witness, so points for me. But mom she did the right thing of backing me up and helping him understand that what he had done was so wrong. And I praise this mom for doing the right thing and for putting him in his place because he knew better. This is an 8th grader about to go into high school, very soon to be an adult. If he does this as an adult, he is going to end up in jail. And he is lucky that I'm not pressing charges because that is harassment. And so I want to tell you, parents, if your child's teacher ever calls you to tell you that your son or daughter did something at school, please believe them, because we have no reason to lie. Hold your child accountable and make them realize that what they've done is wrong and make them make it right. Because if you don't do that, if you don't take the necessary steps, when they in fact become adults, they're going to face the harsh reality. So anyways, this has never happened to me, and I definitely submitted a report to admin, and they are handling the situation. But again, parents, do your part. This mom did her part, and I appreciate her for doing that. She is doing her son a favor by correcting him right now. He still didn't take accountability, but she at least tried. Anyway,
To our society. Teachers are very important. I remember when I was growing up, our teachers are not this generation teachers. You know what I mean? Like our teachers used to be your grandma or your auntie. They will yell at you and look you straight in the eye when they are doing it. You will behave instantly. It doesn't matter what you're doing, talking, being on your phone, talking to other students, not paying attention. As soon as that teacher screams or yell at you, you are like, yes ma'am, you instantly just, you are in line, you just start behaving. But I think nowadays we have our teachers now are so young that they don't feel that they have to parent the kids, which is good because that's not their job. Teachers are not parents. They're not supposed to parent our kids. You know what I mean? They're supposed to be teachers and teach our kids. So in order for them to do that, we as parents have to parent our kids at home before they get to school, because some kids are so disrespectful that nowadays teachers are scared to like yell like back in the days, because they are scared to get in trouble for doing that, getting written up, losing their teacher's job. It's just so many issues going on. It's in middle school, high school. Some of them are actually using AI, not doing their work, behavioral problems and everything else. So I feel like we as parents have to help the teacher teach our students. We have to help the teachers. We have to work together as parents and teachers to better assist our students in school. It's not entirely up to the teachers when our kids are in school. We the parents have to like correspond to the teachers. We have to follow up with their phone calls, their emails, everything else that they need for us to do. We have to help our kids at home with homework. You know what I mean? You have to help them. So it made the teacher life easier at school. It made the teacher easier at school. Your kid cannot be destructive in class. They have other class. He's not the only kid in the school. You know what I mean? So it's just so much going on with teachers, and even the board of education now. It's just so much changing. You know, everything is just changing, and teachers are not having it anymore. Teachers are tired of your bad kids' behavior, the school system, how it's treating them. And teachers, on top of all of this, teachers are not getting paid enough. The pay that they receive and what they're putting up with doesn't match up. So I feel like teachers need to be paid more. That's just, I don't know. Teachers needs to be paid more, and we have to discipline our kids at home before they get to school. You know, because it's making these teachers' job really hard, because your kids is not the only one in the classroom. There's so many kids that needs to be taught, and if your kids is disrupting the class, I feel like your kids should be disciplined. I don't know, but now they can't do that because they get in trouble and they got fired. You know, so it's just so much going on with teachers in quitting their jobs. It's not just teachers though. It's like there's a wave of everybody else just quitting their job because of something, you know, but teachers are quitting, and it's really, really sad to me. And I feel like we as a parent have to work together with the teacher to make our students learning easier for the student and also for the teacher. You know what I mean? And we shouldn't encourage our young kids so much to use technology to depend on their schoolwork. You know, like kids are using AI, kids can just use their phone, take a picture, scan it into the AI program, and it give them the answers to their tests, to their homework, everything. And that's not how learning is supposed to be. You know what I mean? So if a teacher has observed all this behavior and they're complaining about it, we as parents have to receive it and talk to our kids and tell them not to do it anymore. You know, like I think we have to take AI out of like middle school, high school. Like that shouldn't be acceptable. You know what I mean? Like, but it's really sad. Teachers need to get paid more, and yeah, and we as parents need to parent our kids. And thank you for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.